Yo, red button on the top corner of my screen means we're live. Some casual takes, special episode 69. We're on episode 69 of Some Casual Takes. Hey, it's not a dirty joke. You're thinking about something, clear that out of your head. Episode 69, hosted by your boy, Stephen Pepper, here to casually talk sports. This episode is brought to you by Noah, and we got a Tuesday edition of the show. I say at the end of every show, make sure you follow my social media. I've never been able to say this word in my life. Specifically, my TikTok. If I don't go live, I had to postpone the show. Then, if you're followed, you'll get the notification, you'll get the story update, and you'll be good to go. I postponed it. I was a little busy on Sunday doing a lot of homework, catching up on school. And then I was like, you know what? Instead of forcing out a crappy show on Monday, unprepared show, I'm going to give you guys a Tuesday show because I actually think the biggest game of the week I want to talk about. I'm still going to talk about some Sunday stuff, but the biggest game I want to talk about is the Cowboys versus Chargers. Had a lot of implications for these two teams, but I can't talk about it on Monday. I got to talk about it on Tuesday, so it just works out. Also, if you guys notice, I got a haircut too. Shout out to my barber over here at school. He gave me a nice little cut. I asked for a very low cut because I'm not trying to get a haircut for a while. This is like the lowest I've ever been in a while. If you guys have been watching for a while, you've probably seen some haircuts here and there. This is the lowest I've been in a while. My hair was just too big and it looked a little messy. I had to get cleaned up a little bit so I can get the waves looking a little bit better. And I look more fresh this way. So I look a little younger, look a little more like a kid. But let's get into it. So the topics for today, I'm talking Chargers, Cowboys, of course. I also want to talk about a little bit of the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers games of the weekend, because I've been talking about these teams recently, and it kind of keeps coming back to what I've been saying. And then, I like to talk about my Colts, Anthony Richardson's injury update. We're also going to talk about that to close out the show. So good show, get you guys in and out in about 30 minutes. So you got to sit back, grab a little water, grab your headphones. I don't know how you guys listen to my podcast. You guys walking, you guys at the gym on the treadmill, walking to class, or studying. I don't know, but this is the place to be after an NFL slate of games. So let's talk Cowboys Chargers Monday Night Football. This was a good game. I'm glad this was a good game and it ended the way it was, because I said on my TikTok when I said I was going to do a Tuesday show instead of Monday, this could be one of the best games of the season. This game has a lot of implications, and it delivered on Monday Night Football. Now, 20-17 game. Did you guys expect 20-17 with two talented offensive teams like this? No, but it was a very, very entertaining game, and the Dallas Cowboys came up on top 20-17 in Los Angeles. Let's talk about Dallas first. For the Cowboys, this was for sure a must-win. The Dallas Cowboys move on to 4-2. They came in the game 3-2. This was clearly a must-win. They lose, they go on to 3-3. And if you look at the three teams they beat prior to the Chargers, Giants, Jets, Patriots, who are their quarterbacks? Daniel Jones, okay, Zach Wilson, and a mix of Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. And the Cardinals, and then the losses for the Cowboys, although it looked more like kind of like a fluke loss, this isn't a good team, but a prepared, ready to play Josh Dobbs, and of course the 49ers beat them 42-10 last week. The Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football needed a bounce back. They got it done. The Cowboys, and all their wins, they scored 30 points. They blow out all these teams, but look, they're all bad quarterbacks. Where's the Cowboys' win against a really good team? I'm not saying they have to beat a Super Bowl team. They have to beat San Francisco. They just got to beat a really good team, because they haven't so far. How can I test that this Cowboys team is really good if they've only been like the Giants and like Bailey Zappi? And Dak Prescott even knew it too. He said, quote, "It was a must win. There's a big difference between 4-2 and 3-3. Exactly. That's what Dak Prescott said. Like, if you're a Cowboys fan, you wake up today on Tuesday ready to clock in your 9 to 5. You're already miserable, by the way, because you're clocking in at 7 a.m., you know what I mean, going to work. But how more miserable would you be if you woke up, had to be 3-3? That would suck. Look at the NFC standings right now. Of course, you got the Eagles, 49ers, and the Lions all at 5-1. 3-3 is like if you don't count like divisions. 3-3 is like the 6th or 7th seed or missing the playoffs, depending on the NFL, just tiebreakers and stuff right now. That's where the 3-3 is at right now. There's about like 5 to 6 teams, I believe, 4 to 6 teams who are hanging on to 3-3. Then like the bottoms, it's like the Panthers. But 3-3, that's like, well, the Bucks are 3-2. The Commanders are 3-3. They're in your division. The Falcons with Desmond Ridder are 3-3 as well. The Cowboys lose to the Chargers. Not only will they not have a single win against a good team, they will be 3-3 in the middle of the pack. And 4-2 is a huge difference because now they're right just behind the Lions for the 4th best record in the NFC. And I said last week when the Cowboys lost big time to the 49ers 42-10, I said, well, we all knew that coming into the season was the 49ers Eagles at that top tier 1 in the NFC. But then the clear close to, because I had the Cowboys win the division preseason, the clear close to would be the Cowboys. But after getting blown out and going into this game 3-2, I was like, okay, the Lions now 5-1, they've crept in this tier. But now I also believed if they would have lost to the Chargers, it would have been the Lions that's that close to. And then the Dallas Cowboys, despite being overly talented, would not even be a top 2 tier team in the NFC. So this was clearly a must win. And one of the reasons why the Dallas Cowboys even won this game in the first place is because I've been saying this for a while. This is exactly how the Dallas Cowboys need to play football. Defense. Now their defense, unlike the games they won against like the Giants or the Jets or the Patriots, the defense didn't score. But what the defense definitely did do was a very talented Chargers team held them to 17 points. Dallas defense was very good on 3rd and 4th down. I think they were 5 of 15 on 3rd and 4th down. They're one of the best 3rd and 4th down defenses in the league. Now, when the Dallas defense does score, it pretty much tells Dak Prescott, you're never going to be trailing the game. They did trail, but it was only for a little bit. Majority of the game, defense played so well where Dak Prescott operated an offense where he was either tied or the score lead. And that's really good with offense. Play with a lead is definitely way better than playing from behind. Now, running game, I think the Dallas Cowboys needs, and that's going to be concerned later. But Pollard was really good. I believe he caught 6 passes for about 80 yards. He had that one big play where Dak Prescott, I'm getting that in a second, rolled to his right and found Pollard, and Pollard broke a tackle and went on for a big play that ended up being a scoring drive. Pollard needed to be a huge factor for the Cowboys to win, and he was at least in the passing game. CeeDee Lamb just said after the game that he also is feeling a little 7-11 like Jamar Chase, that he's always open. You need to get CeeDee Lamb the ball. Now, whether or not you believe CeeDee Lamb is like a wide receiver number 2, forced to being a wide receiver 1 since they moved off of Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb in this offense needs to be treated like a wide receiver 1 because he's clearly their best receiver. The disparity, now Cooks had a good game, but the disparity between him and Gallup, who was dropping all those passes, had like 3 catches on 10 targets. The disparity is huge. And I've been saying for a while, they need to try hard to get creative plays, motions. They try to put him in the slot. Because San Francisco, they pretty much clamped up CeeDee Lamb. They threw double teams, different looks at him, took him out the game. They need to get CeeDee Lamb open because it opens the field for Dak Prescott. And last thing, I said this last show as well, Dak Prescott's playmaking, his scrambling, his legs also need to be a factor. Think back to the Dallas Cowboys in Dak's first couple of years, why they were so successful. And one of the reasons why is because Dak's legs were good. He was not like a Lamar Jackson fast, but you can run read options, RPOs any day of the week with Dak Prescott. And he can break up he had a lot of rushing touchdowns in his first couple of years in the league. And the ability to move outside the pocket, it's kind of like a Russell Wilson. Dak Prescott's probably one of his best traits, his ability to run outside the pocket and make a play, either scramble, pick up a first down or a touchdown, or extend a play with the leg. That's his best trait because Dak isn't that good of a pocket passer. I mean, if you watch the game, that Dallas Cowboys offense, when Dak had to throw from the pocket, that offense wasn't that good when he had to throw from the pocket. Their biggest plays, their more successful plays, was Dak rolling out, extending plays, creating new angles while using his legs. He had a huge 4th down play that went for a touchdown with his legs on an RPO. He also had that Pollard throw across the middle of the field while he rolled out as well. And then he also had a great touchdown, a beautiful ball to Brandon Cooks when he was backpedaling, not standing in the pocket. Dak's playmaking has to be there for the Dallas Cowboys to be successful, and it was last night. Dak Prescott was an efficient 21 of 30, 272 passing yards, 9.1 on an average. That's really good, and a touchdown. He did get sacked a lot. The offensive line is a bit banged up, didn't look that great, but he played a clean game. Dak Prescott against San Francisco threw like 3 interceptions. He played a clean game. He led the league in interceptions last year. He didn't have any against the Chargers. That's what you need for Dak Prescott. This kind of felt like Dak's best game, biggest win since the Bucs game that he played in the postseason last year. This was clearly his biggest win since, because his wins following were Jones, you know what I mean, Zach Wilson, Bailey Zappi. This was clearly Dak's best game since, and it showed. And moving forward, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, do you feel better? I still don't think that this team could win the NFC. As I kind of said, week 1 or 2, I still see a flawed team, but they still have a chance. There would have been zero chance if they would have been 3-3 this morning and lost to the Chargers. Zero chance. There's still some flaws. This team, Mike McPenalty, you guys have heard that nickname a lot. This Cowboys team is still highly undisciplined in the Mike McCarthy era. They had 11 penalties for huge yardage last night. This is not good. And the running game is there. This is like the third straight week, it felt like, where they can't get Tony Pollard on the ground. And the receiving game is good that Tony Pollard's a two-way, very versatile. He can catch in the passing lanes. But as far as a running back, this is another game where the Cowboys can't get Pollard going. He just had 15 carries for just 30 yards. He couldn't find the end zone, average 2 yards a carry. That's not good. They can't get him. Think about the first couple of years with Dak Prescott, who was in his backfield. The NFL's leading rusher, Zeke Elliott. That's what made the Cowboys so nasty. Brings the safeties down, opens up the field when you also have a great running attack along with a great passing attack. But they need to be able to run the football going forward for me to feel more comfortable with Dak Prescott. But like I said, this was Dak's best game. But even being Dak's best game, they still struggle in the red zone. Even when they it's so funny because even when they beat the Jets, the Patriots, the Giants, take away all those defensive touchdowns, take away all those defensive scores, and just look at the Cowboys' offense and the points they're putting up. They still struggle to put the ball in the end zone. They keep settling for field goals in the red zone. This was Dak's best game, and they only managed to put up 20 points. I'm still waiting for this offense to pop because this offense clearly has talent. Dak's good. McCarthy's not a bad coach. Tony Pollard's excellent. CeeDee Lamb's good. Offensive line's not bad. They have some pieces there. I'm still waiting for this offense to have an explosion because they only put up 20 points in the struggle in the red zone while Dak Prescott has his best game is not a good sign. But for the Cowboys, though, 4-2 this morning is a much better feeling than being 3-3 and having the same record as the Commanders. Now let's move on to the Chargers. They lost. At what point do we blame Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert last night, 22 of 37, 15 incompletions, 227 yards, 6.1 average, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Through the game, losing interception, by the way. This was, guys, I'm going to hit you with this stat. Justin Herbert has thrown 13 interceptions in the fourth quarter in a one-score game. That's 5 more than any other quarterback since he's been in the league. It's year 5 with Herbert. And the Chargers have yet to be a contender in the AFC. They have 1 playoff appearance and 0 wins. They missed the playoffs in 2021 when I thought they were supposed to. They made the playoffs last year, but then they blew a 27-0 lead to the Jags, who have never been there before in a long time. And then it looks like they're 2-3 this morning. They can very well miss the playoffs. Tough AFC. Mahomes in your division. They can miss the playoffs this year. And it feels like this is another loss to a good team like Dallas. It just feels like they lost the Dolphins this year. I mean, they beat the Dolphins last year, but it just feels like they just can't consistently beat the good teams. They just can't consistently beat the good teams. Contenders in the league, think about the Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, they consistently beat good teams. Now, you can say they're more talented than the Chargers, but the Chargers have Justin Herbert. They have some talent. They just can't consistently beat good teams. Now, I get it. Staley throughout the years, the decision-making, his defense has been bottom 5 to 10 these last couple years. That's his side of the ball. And they have piled up injuries in some areas. But last night, those things held up. The defense held the talented Cowboys offense to 20 points. Staley was still Staley, but and then injuries. I mean, when you think about injuries, you have weapons like a Keenan Allen, who's producing like one of the best receivers in the league. Austin Eckler, one of the best offensive backs in the league, comes back. You have talent on the board, a Bosa, a Mack off the edge. You were even at home, and you had a special teams play even waiting your way to put you in scoring position, and you still lost. But Staley's decision on 4th down here, the offensive line could have blocked here. Listen, if you need everything to go your way, how good really are you? You know what I mean? Like, I'm the biggest Herbert defender. I've been a huge Herbert defender since he came out of the league, because since he came out of college. I thought this man was really talented. He could easily be a top 3 talented quarterback in the league. I thought he was going to be top 3 in like this year. I really thought so. I really think Herbert's that good. I do. I've been a huge, huge Herbert defender, but it's hard. I mean, even compare him to Joe Burrow, who came out in the exact same class as him. Now, say what you want about situations. I don't think it's like drastically different for you to, because like Zach Taylor's not that good of a coach as well. Does he do his boneheaded 4th downs as Staley? No, but the Chargers are talented. You say, oh, he has a Jamar Chase, which is fair, and he's had healthier wide receivers, but he still has an Eckler, he still has a Keenan Allen. And Joe Burrow's been to 2 AFC championships, a Super Bowl, has miles more playoff wins, and goes to playoffs every year, wins his division. Pretty tough division still. Not a Mahomes division, but he's beat Mahomes in the playoffs. Herbert can't beat Mahomes head-to-head, like, ever. I don't know if Herbert's ever beaten Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't even think I've seen the Chargers. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think I've ever seen the Chargers beat Patrick Mahomes. That's what, like, QBs in Herbert's tier, they overcome non-perfect situations. Think about Mahomes. No wide receivers won a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, no elite wide receiver, injuries on his team every year. No Dobbins, wins 3 out of 4 games, still manages to probably like win a division or at least come close. The Cowboys won because Dak outplayed Herbert. Herbert was awful for parts of the game. Game-losing interception. Couldn't find people in the red zone. Wide open pass to Keenan Allen that would have been big time to put him in scoring position. They had a punt later on that drive, but they ended up getting the ball back because of that. Like, that Keenan Allen play we would be thinking about that Keenan Allen play a lot more if the Chargers would have lost that game then. They ended up getting the ball back because their special teams play. I think Turbin or whatever, he touched the ball on a punt and they got out in scoring position. But that's what we would have thought about this game. Like, if we compare them head to head, Dak Prescott, about 50 more passing yards on 7 less attempts, way more efficient, no turnovers, clean game, same amount of total touchdowns. Dak outplayed Justin Herbert. And I think we're starting to underestimate Justin Herbert's situation too. I said it earlier. I still don't think Staley's that good of a head coach. I still don't. Now he does have injuries. No Mike Williams. Eckler just came back. Keenan Allen isn't like the fastest dude in the world. The defense has been spotty. But it kind of all came together last night, and he still didn't win. So I don't even know if I can blame situation here. So, like, at what point do we blame Justin Herbert? Because he wasn't good last night at all. Now, the offensive line, you can say, gave out at the end. Parsons sacked, and he got pressured. And then you could say the rookie wide receiver from TCU got bullied on his route by Stephon Gilmore. But even then, Herbert could have made a different read. It just seemed like Herbert's reads were off. The accuracy was off. He just had a bad game. So we got to blame Herbert on this one because I know a lot of people are quick to blame Staley in this situation. All right, let's move on to other games. Let's get through these. Let's talk about the Eagles and 49ers. Both these teams were undefeated going into week 6, and then they played some teams who aren't like, they're okay. They played some okay teams like mid-records. But Eagles played the Jets, 49ers played the Browns, and they were both favored by like a touchdown going into Sunday, and they both lost. Now they're 5-1. So when I think about who had the most concerning loss, 49ers or Eagles, it's the Eagles for me. The 49ers and Eagles, I've been talking about like these two teams a lot recently, and these same topics come over and over for the 49ers and Eagles. Let's talk about the 49ers first. First of all, like if you're the 49ers, this was a good loss. Like this was a good loss for the 49ers. I get it's the Browns, but like, and you're the 49ers, you should be beating this team. But this was, I think they were favored by what, like 7 to 10 points going into it in Cleveland. This is a good loss. Like, no one goes undefeated, first of all. Like, it's so hard to go undefeated. If this was the only loss this season, maybe second loss, you're not going to hang your hat. You're not going to hang your head because of this. No one goes undefeated. It's 2023. The 49ers had so many injuries. CMC, their best offensive talent, goes out. Deebo Samuel, their second best playmaker, goes out. He's wearing street clothes on the sideline. Need an update on CMC because he has the oblique. Trent Williams, the best offensive lineman in the sport, goes out. Like, you've had all these injuries, bad Cleveland weather. I'm from Ohio. Anyone else from Ohio knows Cleveland weather sucks, especially this time of year. I've been up there in that area a couple times. You see the sun like 4 times a year. It's always rainy. It feels like in the 1 o'clock slots. The 1 o'clock slot weather is bad in Cleveland. It's like a home field advantage for them. The weather's bad. Receivers drop passes because it's all wet and rainy. And you're going against a Browns defense that's really good. And then you also, with all that aside, Purdy, first interception this season, barely has any in his career. With all that aside, Brock Purdy was this close to still being undefeated in the regular season. His kicker, apparently one of the best kickers in college football last couple of years, missed the game-winning field goal. They were still, with all that, injuries, bad Cleveland weather, great defense, Purdy turnover, this close to still winning. Like, the Browns even so good, guys. They've given up barely over 200 yards a game, 200.4. That's by far the best in the league. They're giving up 15.4 points per game. That's top 5 in the league. And it's not like they're playing bums. They played a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. They played a Lamar Jackson. They played Brock Purdy in this team. And like the 49ers, they've scored 30 points or more in 8 straight games. And they came in as the second highest scoring team, 33.4 points. They averaged before the game 402 yards on offense, and they only gained 215 yards and scored 17. That's how good the Browns' defense is. That's how good the Browns defense. This isn't like a bad loss for the 49ers. It's more of a bad loss for the Eagles. So let's talk about the Eagles. Unlike the 49ers, the Eagles aren't rolling teams. They aren't blowing out teams. Like, name a team the Eagles have just blown out, blown out by 20 points. They have it. The 49ers are blowing out every single team they played before Cleveland. But the Eagles feel like they aren't rolling teams. If the Eagles feel like they're in the game with the team until the fourth quarter. Now, I think they beat the Rams by 14, maybe 10 points. But the Rams were in the game until the fourth quarter. They were in the fourth quarter with Mac Jones. In the fourth quarter, let it come back by Kirk Cousins. They've been in the fourth quarters in pretty much every single game they played. It just feels like the Eagles have been winning games just because they're simply better at every other position than their opponent, rather than them being like that. It just feels like they're just winning games rather than just them being that good. It just feels like they're winning games off talent rather than like a whole overall team. You get what I'm saying? They feel like they've just been winning games simply because they're better than everyone, and it finally caught up to them on Sunday. My issue with the Eagles, I had a show when they went to 3-0. I think this was on the Vikings Thursday night football game. They moved on to 3-0. I said this was the most concerning 3-0 start I've ever seen from a football team, especially coming off a Super Bowl. They have talent everywhere and they look concerning. Why? Because it seems like the Eagles' identity still isn't there. And I preached in like the last couple of shows, the Eagles, their identity, it's just kind of missing. It's just kind of like, what's their identity? Now, some games they do flash their identity, but they don't stick to it. It seems like the Eagles can't find their identity and what makes them really good. And their identity is power running team, limit Hurts from throwing the football, just play good defense and just run it on you. And they're not really running the football. And they haven't been as much as I want them to. I think they should run the football like 30 to 40 times. I think they ran the ball like 40 times against Monday Night Football to the Buccaneers. They only ran it 22 times. 8 of those were because of Jalen Hurts. DeAndre Swift at one point was like the leader rushing, like in the first like 3 weeks. He only had 10 carries for 18 yards. They didn't give him the ball. Gainwell and Scott combined for four attempts. They didn't run the ball. Instead, Jalen Hurts, against one of the best defenses in the league, threw 45 times. I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, but I don't think this Eagles team is going to be set up for enormous success if they have Jalen Hurts throwing 45 times. I think this team is good if Jalen Hurts caps at about 30. They run it for as equally, if not more, and they just control you at the line of scrimmage. That's what they should do instead of trying to beat you through the air. I know they have an A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, but this team isn't built to beat you through the air, especially now Steichen's gone. They're still trying to figure out their offensive identity, their playbook, because now he's an Indianapolis head coach. I just don't know what this Eagles offense is. Hurts has 7 interceptions this year. He had 3 against the Jets. He had 6 all last year. He already it's week 6, and he has 1 more interception than he had all last year. They ran the ball like last year. His interceptions started piling up at the end of the season, but those first 10 weeks when the Eagles showed they arrived as one of the best teams in football, Jalen Hurts kept the ball clean. They were running on everyone, blowing teams out, running, controlling the line of scrimmage, not making Hurts throw 40 times a game. Now they are, and look at those interceptions piling up. His completion percentage, rating, QBR, all down. And right now, he's 7 for 7 touchdown interception ratio. The team is still second in league in rushing with 150 yards a game. I wish this Eagles team would keep on running the football going forward, because look at their schedule. They have the hardest schedule in the league. It's one of the reasons why I picked the Cowboys to win this division. I don't think the Cowboys will, but we'll still see. There's still a chance, but you get what I'm saying, because of this Eagles schedule is tough. Now they've entered the hardest part of their schedule. Because a lot of people, the Eagles are 5-1 right now. A lot of those people in Philly were like, what do you mean Super Bowl hangover? We're 5-1. Yeah, because your cupcake schedule was the first 6 weeks of the season. Now your schedule actually looks like the hardest in the league. You have the Dolphins next week. Then you have the Cowboys twice, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Niners, a lot of great defenses, a lot of great secondaries, a lot of other great offenses that you're competing with, some great run-stopping teams in the mix. You're going to be able to run the football. You got to be able to keep it clean. You got a lot of offenses that will, they're not like a Zach Wilson. It took 3 interceptions from Jalen Hurts for Zach Wilson to finally capitalize off of a Jalen Hurts interception. You're playing offenses and defense like the Bills, 49ers. Look what they did to Dallas in Dak Prescott's interceptions. Jalen Hurts, you throw 2 to 3 interceptions, this team is going to capitalize every single time. You can get away with it, Zach. They almost got away with it too, but you can get away with it against a Zach Wilson throwing 3 interceptions. They didn't. It took 3 interceptions to not get away with it. You throw 2 against the Niners, they're going to capitalize. That's why this team's got to keep sticking the run, because these turnovers, this loss of identity can work against the Minnesota, can work against the Mac Jones. You can keep a close game with a Zach Wilson, but you play a Josh Allen, that defense. You play a Brock Purdy, that offense, that defense. You play a Tua offense. You play a Dallas Cowboys defense plus a pretty good offense. It's not going to look good for you. That Cowboys Eagles game, they play twice. I'm gonna keep those are going to be the biggest games of the year, because that is going to be the measuring stick. I know everyone says the Niners Cowboys was the measuring stick. I mean, I let's just face it now. Like the 49ers own the Cowboys. They just do. I don't even know if that's a measuring stick at this point. This is the real measuring stick, though. It's the Eagles Cowboys. They've been close these last couple of years. We're gonna see. And if the Cowboys do win those 2 games, by the way, they're probably going to win that division. So my prediction is still alive. Who knows? All right, let's close the show with some AR. My guy, Anthony Richardson. Unfortunate news out of my Colts camp. I'm a little saddened today because this is not what I wanted to see. I wanted my guy to play the entire year. So if you guys don't know, my Indianapolis Colts quarterback, Anthony Richardson, tears running down my face, is probably going to miss the rest of the regular season, per Jim Irsay told ESPN yesterday, to undergo a shoulder surgery like in a week or so. Because you guys remember Anthony Richardson, AC joint sprain. He took a hit to throwing shoulders, right shoulder, against the Tennessee Titans in week 5. And Irsay saying, he can probably get shut down this season and get surgery. There's still debate per Irsay, but he said that they're going to figure out exactly when and how to do it. And it's ultimately up to Anthony Richardson. That's also what they said. It's up to Anthony Richardson to decide whether he wants any surgery. But it looks like Jim Irsay and them are ready to shut him down. And although it sucks for my Colts, because I want to see Anthony Richardson on the field. My goal going forward, first of all, I wasn't that big. If you've been watching like my early podcasts, like the first couple podcasts I did, I was doing mock drafts and deciding who the Colts should pick. I was debating whether Levis should go for, not because I was the biggest Levis fan. It was because, Anthony Richardson, 55% completion percentage, only 1 year starter, not really winning much in Florida. I was a little concerned to him. We took him 4, and he's been great. He's still not the best thrower of the football, but he's made some great throws this season. And his speed. We've been such a stiff team post Andrew Luck with old Rivers. The most fluid we've been was with Carson Wentz. And then Matt Ryan, we've been a really stiff team. The QB powers that we could finally start running. These speed plays, these rollouts with Anthony Richardson have just elevated this offense. And it's been really good for the Colts. So my goal under Shane Steichen, who helped unlock Jalen Hurts and bring him to a Super Bowl as his offensive coordinator, come in, help develop Anthony Richardson. We'd still be bad. I didn't think we'd be this good. I said we're going to win like 4 games. I didn't think we would be this good. We've already won 3 so far. Be bad, get a good pick, but we spent the entire year understanding and developing Anthony Richardson and developing a system around him. For next year, we get a bad pick. I was praying it was going to be like Marvin Harrison Jr., and then it's off to the races. Now he's hurt, which is going to suck. I kind of like when a rookie quarterback plays that whole first year. He only got to play, it seems like he only finished, I think, 1 game of his life in the NFL so far. He's been Gardner Minshew's come in pretty much every other start he's played. It's cool, but this is the best for us because I don't want to get PTSD from Luck. We're forcing an injured quarterback out there and playing every week despite him having a hurt shoulder or hurt, something like that. Remember Baker Mayfield and he tried to force himself out on a hurt shoulder. It was so bad for the Browns. It derailed their season when in reality should have sat out and got surgery. So this is good for him. Like this season was meaningless anyways. We weren't going to, if we somehow did make the playoffs or somehow won the division, like what were we gonna do? Like, what does that playoff experience do for us? You know what I mean? Like this was kind of like a meaningless season. I just kind of want us to just be a competitive team, close, a lot of close games, a lot of pressure games, but then ended up losing most of them. But Richardson gets that pause and gets that development in our offense. No need to force him back. But like going forward, though, when he does come back next year, we do need to figure out how are we going to do these power runs? Because going into week 5, we ran the most power runs in the sport. And he's been getting banged up. He had the concussion earlier, had the slide, and now in week 5, concussion was in week 2. He's been taking a lot of contact, and a lot of it is because he thinks he's a running back. I mean, he's a big kid, right? But he needs to learn how to slide. And I think going forward, seeing this injury, I think Steichen's going to maybe change the offense a bit, maybe pull back a bit on the power running. Maybe this makes him more of a passer. I kind of don't want him to be. But if we get a Marvin Harrison Jr., who knows? But this is going to be interesting going forward. I mean, the Colts are still a pretty good team. I hope they don't win a lot of games because I do want a good pick now. Now that we don't have a quarterback, I really want a good pick for him next year. Remember when Joe Burrow tore his ACL? He only played 5-6 games and tore his ACL. Remember when he tore his ACL? They were so bad. Like with Joe Burrow, they were competitive, but they were not really winning that many games. But then they were bad without him. I kind of want us to be like that. Gardner Minshew's already beating the Ravens. I'm kind of scared. The Jags loss, I don't take much away because the Jags own us. But I'm kind of scared Gardner Minshew and our Colts are going to keep trying to win games, and we're going to have a mid-tier pick. The Bengals were so bad when Joe Burrow went down that they were able to get Jamar Chase, 5. I think Jamar Chase, Jamar Chase went 4 or 5, something like that. They were able to get Jamar Chase. I want us to be so bad going forward that we get a Marvin Harrison because an extra weapon offensively for Anthony Richardson, because it's an offensive league, we got to go offense. Or if you want to bolster that offensive line, but I think the offensive line's got better. An extra weapon, someone to be next to Pittman, because Josh Downs is good, so you can say Josh Downs is good, but I don't think Pierce is working out. Maybe an extra weapon, our cornerstone defensive player. Would love to pick in the top 5. I would love to pick in the top 5. So maybe, Irsay, hey, Yeah, do shut him down. Shut him down, actually. Yeah, shut him down. But also maybe, shut down Gardner Minshew too, and maybe get some Ellinger starts because I don't want us to win seven games because I think we're on pace to win about because Gardner Minshew is not bad. We already have 3 wins already. I think we're on pace to win 7 to 9 games right now. No, I do not want to pick at pick 17. I want to pick at pick 5, pick 6, pick 4. You know, that's what the Colts should do going forward. But we had a pretty good pod today. I got class soon, unfortunately. Shout out to my art class I got to take. Oh, my God. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 69 of Some Casual Takes. Next show will be on Friday. I aimed at 12. But just in case, if you want to update and if I move the show, follow social medias to stay updated. Some Casual Takes is the handle. But until the next show, I'll see you guys.